Hi. I don't want to do this. I don't want a YouTube channel. Um, I don't have time for it. I have no interest in it. I have no interest in social media at all. I did when I was younger, when I was protesting um, certain things in 2020 for a couple of years, and that didn't get me anywhere. But I feel like I have to make a YouTube channel because I feel like God's mad at me for not doing his work, for not sharing the gospel or not talking about Jesus as our Lord and Savior. Because I'm an awkward person, and when I speak to people I get tongue-tied and weird and I say the wrong thing. And there are people in the Bible like Moses and Jonah who got, at some point, I don't even remember exactly what happened with Moses, but he wanted Aaron to do the work that God had asked him to do. And it was annoying to God because there's something awkward about people that God chooses, I believe. And even if you seem like the completely wrong person for a job, he's telling you to do it. Anyway, I feel like he's getting mad at me for not sharing the gospel and not doing his work. And I'm not a perfect Christian. I've been on a long, long journey. And over the years, especially during my protest years when there were certain government mandates, I was also discovering things spiritually, which I was always interested in that. I was always the person interested in things that I should not have been interested in. And I feel like I was spiritually attacked for it, for opening up doors in that way. And it led me, long story short, everything led me straight to Christ. But now, I know I'm supposed to be speaking about it to other people, and I just feel so awkward because I've always felt awkward. And I feel like, especially when you have kids, you'll somehow be punished for it. Like, you kind of want to keep your family protected. I think if I were a person with no kids, or if I were like an old person, I would just blurt out whatever was on my mind. I've never been the type to just blurt out whatever's on my mind. I happen to be quiet and kind of keep my thoughts to myself. But anyway, this started with my daughter's class. My daughter's school is doing a competition, like a talent show. So I thought a good idea would be to do a lip sync to Yakety Yak. It's supposed to be a lip sync. So I thought Yakety Yak would be an appropriate song for first graders. So no one agreed that that was a good idea. And the other mothers thought that a great song would be Thriller. And I don't like it. I'm still volunteering to do this, but I feel like it's against what I believe in. If you really look at the lyrics of Thriller, I stopped listening to secular music a long time ago. I've only listened to K-Love for the past year, and all I listen to now is Christian music. So to be brought back into the secular, it's just not even secular music. It's so dark, and it's about death and demons, right? And stuff that kids, why? But it goes hand in hand with what I'm seeing all the time, which is cartoons with demons and these K-pop demon hunters and this girl Wednesday that came from what used to be like an entertaining show, The Addams Family, but now it's dark. Everything's witchcraft. And I see it as supernatural forces, as most Christians do, where we have open eyes to these things. So if you're a true Christian, you're going to see this as a part of the spiritual warfare that we're facing. And when you tell someone who's not a Christian, or even if they identify as Christians, they see it as just entertainment. To me, you know, it's not. But also part of the spiritual warfare, I was just listening to Dr. Michael, forgot his last name, but he was talking about how it's not all about the like Ghostbusters, that kind of spiritual warfare. It's more about God's people not spreading the gospel and not really hammering down on the truth that Jesus Christ is the only way to salvation. He's the only God. And what I'm finding, which I was guilty of in the past, is people are moving more and more towards other religions, trying to blend it in with something, you know, it's kind of this multicultural religion that we're moving towards in society, where a general idea to me is that all religions are the same, and they're going to lead us all to the same place because we're all generally good people unless we murder someone or do horrific crimes. And that's simply not the case. That's not what the Bible states at all. Jesus is the only way, truth, and life, right? And we're supposed to be spreading his word. But when I try to do it, it comes out flat. And I feel like no matter what, people just don't listen to me. I'm just an awkward person. And also, I don't want to talk to people. It's kind of like when Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, and God kept pushing him to go and preach or speak to the people in Nineveh, I believe. And he just didn't want to do it. And he kind of like, you know, you kind of look at other people and you just avoid them. You're supposed to love them, and I try my best. I used to fight with people all the time. I was a really nasty piece of work. I used to fight, and I used to gossip, and I did what I wanted, like all Christians. Okay, I have a past. And now I don't do that anymore. But even though I've changed and I keep changing, I'm not doing what God has told me to do, which is share his word and the truth, that he is the only truth. And it goes even deeper because we also have this thing with these other religions. You see Buddha heads everywhere, people doing yoga. Okay, these things are not innocuous. They are something like yoga. If you listen to people who are Christian now and used to teach yoga, talk about how these are poses and these are movements to worship other gods. I wish I could remember Dr. Michael's last name, but anyway, he's famous for a video called The Unseen Realm, which I've watched several times, about the rebellions that happened in biblical times, and you know, how there are lowercase gods from the Bible. They were the way I understand it, they're fallen angels, demons, right? And God, they were supposed to be serving God, and following his commands, and they did their own thing. They went into a rebellion. So these gods are not made up, they're real, and they're basically demons who we're supposed to be exposing and spreading the truth about. So here I am, I'm rambling, and this is what I do, and I feel like no one listens to me. And like I said, I don't want to do YouTube. I'm well past my prime, okay? I used to get dolled up and think it was great to make videos and try to share information with people. And now I just like listen to Christian music and do work at home. I like tinkering. Right now I'm replacing light switches because they're old, and I want fresh, clean new light switches, and I'm always doing stuff. And I like the peace and quiet, the tranquility of it, and just thinking about Jesus. But I feel like just thinking about Jesus is not good in my, I'm not doing his work, and I feel like I'm really making him mad. And I'm not a perfect Christian. I spent my younger years in college and in my 20s knowing all about astrology, knowing all about Buddhism and Hinduism, and reading tarot cards and doing all sorts of stuff, really dark stuff. And I've had supernatural things happen to me. I've had prophetic dreams. I've had demonic dreams. And I know that Jesus is always speaking with me, and he's always there, and he's always listening. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to start making YouTube videos. If it goes anywhere, good. I feel like then I'm reaching out to people. If it doesn't, I don't care, because I don't even want to do it. I'm just doing it because I feel like these things need to be spoken about. And, you know, I'm also like a hybrid. I was raised Catholic. And because I didn't follow Catholicism and I was doing my own thing, when I tried to go back to Catholic Church, and then that's another long story, I was basically, you know, rejected. So I ended up going to an evangelical church, which was really good. So I lived in the UK for a long time. I have 2 children, and we would go to church there. My kids really liked it because the church services were held at a school, and they got to go into youth groups. So one was in a gym, so my son was able to play sports and talk about the Bible. And my daughter was with little kids her own age, and they'd play games and do arts and crafts and talk about the Bible. Here, I can't find anything like that, and they're very bored with church, but it is at least what I tell them sinks in. But I'm having a really hard time. Dealing with the rest of the world. And I feel like I need to tell these parents somehow how dark this song actually is, or just in general, everything that's, you know, coming out of a screen seems to be all about darkness, demons, and witches. Am I the only one no, I know I'm not the only one seeing this, because other Christians see it as well. And we know for a fact that entertainers today practice witchcraft, they do occult practices, they are basically open Satanists. And, you know, I do tell my children that. At the same time, you know, they use YouTube and play video games and stuff, because I can't actually isolate them from the entire world either. All I can do is try to teach them about it and make them have a discernment and make the right decisions. Anyway, I guess that's my first video. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. But I feel like we're all, what's the point of this? What's the point of this video? The point is that as Christians, I think we like to stay with other Christians, and then that's when we feel okay to speak openly. And we trust one another, you know, we trust each other. And we feel comfortable. But then when we're outside of our church and outside of our thoughts and our worship, and we're dealing with the day-to-day, you know, just our family, everyone around us we're dealing with, and what, are we all tongue-tied? We have no, that's the problem, I guess. That's why I'm making this video, because we don't have the courage and the conviction to really put it out there and say, this is how I see it. You know, I see nothing but demonic forces being directed towards our kids. It's all in the entertainment industry. You know, it really came out during those government restrictions, and when we were all on lockdown, all sorts of videos were coming out. I think that's when it really occurred to me, and I was more on the Catholic side, and then I couldn't really practice as a Catholic anymore, and then I went into an evangelical church. And then it really occurred to me that Jesus is the only truth. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Maybe I'll do like chores and DIY things to like do like, I don't know, Christian stay-at-home moms who like to tinker, and they're always like, you know, doing cooking and cleaning and gardening and fixing. Maybe I'll do something like that. Anyway, that's it for now.